Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our scheduled 2x2. Today is May 22nd, 2025. It's what time is it? I don't see a clock here. 4:32. Pledge of Allegiance. No, roll call. Call of order. Now, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
President Fox,
Present.
Mayor Source,
Present.
Vice President Amboy,
Present.
Councilmember Matulik.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Community Forum. Do we have any speakers?
Through the chair, currently do not have any speakers signed up for the community forum. However, I did start a 2-minute timer, which is reflected on the top left corner of your screens. Feel free to carry on with the agenda at this time, and at the conclusion of that timer, if anyone signs up, I'll be sure to let you know.
Thank you. Consent calendar and approval agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move approval.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Roll call.
President Fox,
Aye.
Mayor Source,
Yes.
Vice President Amboy,
Aye.
Councilmember Matulik.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Now we have approval of our, did we just do the minutes with the agenda? We already did both together. Thank you. Presentations and, let's see, Soul Trans?
Yeah, and I don't see Soul Trans here. Do we know if I might have been the one that forgot to follow up, or we may have forgotten to follow up that we had actually put them on the agenda.
Yes, I believe it was going to be your office and you had rescheduled with them.
We had. So I'll take the hit on that, and then we'll probably bring them to June. But what I will say, if you indulge me as the public comment clock dies down, we did have a Youth Ride Free update at the last Soul Trans board meeting, and if you give me a minute to pull it up, I will summarize it for the record. If we might see if there are any other interagencies in the meantime, as my computer reboots.
And through the chair, while she's pulling that up, we did have one sign up for community forum.
Okay.
Katie B., please come to the podium.
Thank you for giving me a moment today. I'm Katie Burns, Admin Data Analyst and Community Liaison for the iHeart program, and I partner with schools in our district providing wellness programming for youth, especially Black and brown girls who are navigating trauma, conflict, and community violence. Last week, a conflict between students at one campus spilled over to 2 other sites. It escalated to an arrest. This isn't an isolated incident. It's a reflection of an unaddressed trauma and conflict moving through our schools and neighborhoods. And without a system, a safely intervention and to support students, these moments turn into crises. We previously had SROs in schools. While these roles have mixed impacts, they did create a rapid response option when situations escalated. Now without that, there's a real gap in coordination, trauma-informed intervention. I'm proposing we create a rapid response protocol, a district-supported system to track emerging conflicts across campuses and immediately activate wellness, violence interruption, and restoration resources. This would include quick notification to designate wellness staff and admin, proactive wellness check-ins for involved and impacted students, access to community-based mediation and restoration circles at first-line interventions, family education opportunities involving community partners and VPD, not in a punitive role, but as a collaboration, educational presence, rebuilding trust and safety. This is about preventing harm before it happens and offering students cultural responsive, healing-centered, and alternative to suspension, expulsions, and police intervention. We have strong community partners ready to support. What we need is a district coordination and shared accountability. I'm here to be a part of building that system, and I appreciate your leadership in moving this conversation forward.
Thank you.
No other speakers at this time, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
thank you. Yes.
All right, coming back to Soul Trans, I'm now remembering the issue, which was that we wanted the Soul Trans team to get in front of VCUSD about engagement prior to the end of the comment period on the comprehensive operational analysis, which was last week, and they did go to the VCUSD board meeting in April. And so I think that was intended to replace this. However, I will invite them to come and do an update on Youth Ride Free as well, because I think that is valuable. And I'll say that the evaluation of the COA, we're going to be having a meeting in June, probably June, July, and all summer. We'll be talking about those route changes. So I do think we need to be proactive in adjusting, as we discussed last meeting, making sure that there's good communication between Soul Trans and VCUSD around the school closures and how the route changes will accommodate perhaps the new travel patterns for some of our students. And while I have this open, or I don't know, Superintendent, if you had a note.
Well, no, I was going to add that as we're going through our school closure process, we know we wanted to engage with Soul Trans as those plans start to come to fruition and really looking at the impact of transportation when we're looking at the schools that could be under closure.
Yeah, so let me I'm actually going to see Beth tomorrow, so let me ask her what she thinks is the best option, if it's you coming to the Soul Trans meeting or vice versa, or both, and how we do that, or her going to the VCUSD school board meeting, and then how we use this body, because there may be value in kind of all three of those. And then just for the record for everybody here, the Youth Ride Free pilot, which launched last April, so just hit the 1-year mark, was a resounding success. It led to a significant increase in youth ridership. The number of youth riders grew from 33,070 to 100,126, which was a 200% increase compared to that period the previous year. So we were coming up from COVID, we were seeing an increase, but it was even double the increase from the previous year. And that included ridership on Benicia school trippers, but one of the things that they highlighted at the meeting was the decline in chronic absenteeism in Vallejo Unified. That coincided with this Youth Ride Free pilot. And then what we also saw was that there weren't the traditional patterns in ridership up and down that you typically see seasonally. And what they felt that meant was not only were youth using the bus to get to school, but then they were also using the bus during school breaks to get around. During summer, there was a pretty consistent, pattern, and even some random spikes that didn't necessarily coincide with the school year. So it just showed that youth are getting accustomed to riding the bus and able to get to school. And so we extended that program for another 2 years at the last meeting. So youth will continue, anyone under 18 will be able to continue to ride the bus for free for 2 more years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll just wait for a future agenda for.
Yeah, once I speak with Beth tomorrow, I will follow. I'll make a note of that right now so I don't forget, and then I'll follow up, and we'll decide whether we want it to come here or there or Soul Trans, where the best venue is to have that conversation.
We're probably going to have a very brief June meeting. We'll be off for July and August. So September would be the next time for a full presentation.
All right, so maybe it's Soul Trans board we start with.
Okay?
Yeah, but yeah, let me see what she thinks.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
It pops up.
Oh, Councilman Matulik?
Thank you, President Fox. And I wanted to kind of respond to the community forum speaker, and wanted to thank Katie from iHeart. Number one, touting iHeart for the exceptional work they've been doing for not only with the city, but it sounds like they're expanding, kind of getting into the school system. And actually, Katie brought this particular situation to my attention, and this is where I'm removing my city council hat and putting on my ASP hat with the school district, letting this group know that for situations like this, and speaking of, and I think that's a great idea for the rapid response team, or putting something together like that to where we, as far as ASPs go, that sounds like our ability to get involved from a restorative justice standpoint and community circle standpoint, and also bringing in our mental health support providers to help with situations of if there is a conflict that goes beyond not a particular school, but kind of branches out into the community. So if we can potentially collaborate between schools where some of these students or community members may be crossing paths, I think that's a something that I think I would like to see happen from a outside of the school, and to where each of the respective job positions like ASPs from one school to another can communicate and have those conversations. And if we need to come together to potentially help support a situation like that, that could potentially, quote unquote, get worse, then I think that's something that we should be looking at, especially until we get the SROs back in here in a couple of years when we get to the staffing point through Chief Ta's program and that. So I want to thank Katie and iHeart specifically for bringing this to our attention, and hopefully we can have these conversations at this level between at the school board level and even at the school site level to see how we can help support this and help prevent these and be more proactive for a situation like this in the future.
Thank you.
Do you mind if I make a follow-up comment on that? So we actually had a discussion at Flood and Wastewater on Tuesday about how our different intersecting agencies and priorities, we need to have an overarching kind of values and vision conversation. And I think the iHeart question really speaks to that as well, that as we as this city look for funding and resources for programs like iHeart, we also need to be in close communication with the school district about the school district's needs, and make sure that all of our agencies we're seeing all of the overlaps and not missing any opportunities where we might be able to, for example, ask for a congressional appropriation or something jointly. So I know we're still trying to get that interagency committee going, and I know this 2x2 is a great place to get those city district conversations going, but I want to commit to having those conversations because I think it's really important.
Agreed. Thank you. All right, next agenda item is 7, interagencies. GVRD, I think, has a meeting overlapping at this time. I don't see Chief Tal, but Officer
Sergeant Hollis.
Hollis, do you want to make any comments? You're fine.
Thank you for having me. I just wanted to give you a brief update on what the Vallejo Police Department is doing with VCUSD. Most recently, we just wrapped up our 3rd grade dictionary distribution program, where we went to every 3rd grade class in the city of Vallejo and passed out dictionaries with the Rotary Club. And right now we are in the process of doing our 3rd grade reading program. It's a book written by Andre Lewis. He wrote Making It Better in Vallejo. He's been doing it for quite a few years now, where we pretty much invest in his books, and then we collaborate with all the principals and we read to all the 3rd graders Making It Better in Vallejo. It kind of like humanizes the career field with the kids, make sure that they're aware of how to get in touch with a police officer and know that 911 is important to memorize. And we go over safety tips. You know, don't walk the streets at dark or by yourself. Always trust your parents, your teachers. Don't talk to strangers. And so we pretty much wrapped up majority of the schools. We still have, I think, 5 more schools and 400 more kids to read to, but it's an ongoing program that I'm very proud of. Another thing that we just recently wrapped up was the Jesse Bethel Law Academy program for this year, which I find this very dear to my heart. I've been a part of this program for almost 10 years now. I can't believe I've been here this long, but just to watch I mean, it seems like watch the kids grow and go through this pathway and just see all the opportunities that are given to them. And then it also allows us to expand on the career fields that they can achieve. You know, maybe being a lawyer is not for everybody. Maybe being a judge is not their goal. But as soon as the kids find out about being a police officer, and we do have female police officers and dispatch centers and records and data analytics, it just opens up a whole new world for them. And just to see their eyes open and see the brain moving and as they ask questions about dispatch and it just brings to light more than what they see, because you know everybody usually sees a cop when it's at the worst time of their life, but it's another thing when you can joke and laugh and call a police officer your friend or a mentor. It goes a long ways. And this most recent class, it seemed like I was able to connect with a lot of kids. I even had kids coming to my table. It was like, oh wow, you want to be at my part? You want to be a part of my group? So that's always exciting. And on top of that, I was a part of the Law Academy Senior Capstone Presentation Project. And so the youth, I judged 3 projects, and the youth had some very interesting topics. One topic was, should we defund or abolish the police system in response to their patterns of police brutality, or would reforming the police department policies be a better solution? That was a very interesting topic. The kids had, you could tell they did a lot of research on this topic and brought up a lot of valid points on both sides of the scale. Another topic was protesting police over time. Has it evolved for the better? And it was very interesting to hear this young lady talk, because she brought up points that the average person doesn't know. So I mean, I was very impressed with the class. You know how you know, a lot of people talk about the evolution of policing from the United Kingdoms and Sir Robert Peel, but then how it really came to America regarding policing slavery. So she was able to like really delve deep into the subject, and it really impressed me. And the third topic that we judged was shame or natural prostitution in the United States, pretty much legalizing or decriminalizing prostitution for the better. And she came up with valid points on both sides. You know, of course, I was able to give her a lot more, a better understanding of the police involvement with you know, human trafficking, because I think, you know, at first she thought of prostitution as prostitution. I don't think she saw the human trafficking aspect of it. But to be able to educate her and give her a broader vision of what the issues that we are facing and the struggles that that these ladies and some gentlemen are victims within themselves. So, and you know, we definitely don't want to victimize victims, you know. So it was very well course that I was able to be a part of, and I was very appreciative. And come May 27th, we're going to have the Jesse Bethel Law Academy Senior Dinner. I'm excited to see the kids one last time before they go to college. And then we're in the process of late night basketball. I know that's with the Elite Public Schools program, but I do know that VCUSD, majority of your youth will be a part of this program. So this is something that we're heavily vested in. Any way to get youth off the streets and give them something more productive to do at night. It's going to be every Friday, starting June 20th to August 8th, from 6 at night to 12 midnight, or 12 p.m., a.m. And pretty much we used to have this program every summer, but COVID kind of killed it, and we're just trying to revitalize it and make it better with slow progress. And then I see Miss Burns has talked to you about the re-entry program. It wasn't something I was familiar with, but she called me and stated that there was an issue going on at Hogan Middle School, and she came up with the idea of, hey, maybe if we could work together and talk to the parents and assist the vice principals in this manner, that maybe we can, achieve a goal and kind of calm down the temperature that was rising at Hogan High. And apparently a young lady was attacked by multiple children, and which resulted in a lot of bruising and scars that I was able to see on the child's face. And I know that hit, just as a father, it hurt me to see a young child in so much pain and to see the scars. So I can only imagine what her family felt. And her family didn't know how to remedy the situation other than fight, because, I guess that's the product of the culture that's all she knew. So with Miss Burns and myself, and, hopefully she can come down and talk about how the whole idea initiated, because I just got a phone call and I just don't want to say no to anything that regarding the children, but we were able to calm the mom down, explain to the mom the resources that we can provide for her. The school was able to provide resources that they were willing to take to protect her child. But then the next day I found out that her other child at, I believe, Jessie Bethel, was attacked. I don't know the full story, but, we were able to minimize the situation at Hogan, but because I wasn't aware there was a situation at Jessie Bethel, it quickly escalated, leading into a parent being arrested, which is definitely not what we want, and children being hurt, which is unacceptable. Do you want to talk about how it initiated?
So over the last year, we've been at Hogan just weekly doing check-ins with just the kids that they've kind of identified, needing a higher level of attention or wellness care. And so I got a call from the vice principal, and I saw the video, and she asked, the student was coming back from suspension, but was there any way that we could talk to the parent? Because the parent had gave out threats as far as how to retaliate, for her student being jumped. And so I reached out to the parent, was able to break bread, took her out to eat, and began to understand where it was coming from, that it wasn't just out of violence. It was really her struggling, trying to, separate herself from how she grew up. Everything she's being told, her family telling her something versus her trying to change for her children. And so we had a conversation, explained that VPD would come in because, again, she was on camera, so you do have to have consequences for your actions, which is where this conversation came from. So not punitive, just education. Like, he will be here to tell you if this consists, what will happen. And so we had that conversation at Hogan with the VPs, the parent and the student. And again, changed mom's whole heart. I won't retaliate, I won't call any family, there'll be no retaliation. But again, the next day, her daughter became a different situation. iHeart has no presence on Vallejo or Bethel, so there was nothing that I could do in that moment, So again, that's why that rapid response that I'm trying to create right now matters.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, this is the conclusion of all the events that we have so far with VCUSD and Vallejo PD.
Thank you for your report. Oh, Councilmember Chilick.
Thank you again, President. And I want to thank Sergeant Hollis personally, because part of that third grade reading group was actually happened at my school, at Dan Minnie Elementary School, this past Monday. And so, and obviously Katie was there also helping support that. And if you could you give a shout out to, because I didn't write down all the names of all the individuals that were there, because I know there were people from the evidence department, there were people from CSI, there were people from 911 that were participating in that. So if you had the names, I'd love to give them a shout out, because they took time out of their own personal and busy schedules and stuff like that. If you have their names,
Yes,
because I don't write them.
Yes, we had, of course, Miss Katie Burns from iHeart, myself, Alyssa Carrigan,
Yeah.
and Stephanie Daly from CSI and Evidence, and we had Jeanette Espinoza
That's right.
from our communication center, which is our dispatchers, and and that was just one. We also,
Yeah.
I mean, I opened it up to the entire Vallejo Police Department staff. So we've had multiple staff members go to different schools based off of their availability and time. So I don't want to just say them. It was a collective effort. Even, just to make sure some people were able to attend this program. Other members actually came to work and worked overtime to allow other members to be a part of this program. So it was a collective effort.
Thank you for that, Sergeant. And they also took the extra time to actually sign all the books for the kids. Oh, wow. So for each and every one of those individuals actually signed it. So thank you for that one. And then if I could, and so that was going to be part of my informational report anyway, so thank you for shortening me my time for the informational report. But the fact we're in the interagency, could I indulge this group to kind of talk, we were talking about transportation earlier. I wanted to share, if I had the ability to share from a STA standpoint, the fact that we have the diverging diamond construction that's happening. So we actually have an open house that's scheduled to happen on June 5th for community members, which are primarily in District 4 and District 2, which are primarily impacted by that construction. So we're having an informational and open house so that way people can understand and potentially find alternative routes to avoid the construction. So I just want to share that with the community. We actually have a meeting tomorrow to kind of talk about that open house. So anyone that's available to attend that or want to understand more about that, I think it's at the STA office at 1 o'clock, or I'm sorry, the June 5th. It's going to be over at the North Vallejo Community Center, and I believe it's either going to be at 5 or 6, but we're going to be sending out notices of when the actual time and the final location and all that other stuff. So just wanted to put that out to people to be aware of that.
Thank you. And Sergeant Hollis, I wanted to thank you so much for just the role models of being in those third grade classes and making those connections with the students. That's so important. I'm so proud to hear that connection's happening. The next item, let's see where we are. Discussion 8A, Nebraska Street update.
Afternoon, 2x2 committee. Mark Helmbrecht, Transportation Program Manager, City of Vallejo. I'm here to provide a brief update on Nebraska street traffic calming efforts that have been moved forward. Next slide, please. So earlier this year, we informed the community about moving forward with 3 sets of speed humps along Nebraska Street. These were installed by Public Works Maintenance staff during the spring break of Vallejo High School, end of March, early April. I think ended April 4th. To date, we've had kind of limited concerns from the traveling public, and certainly interested in feedback from the community, including anything we hear tonight from committee. Next slide. Got photos of the install. These are looking eastbound on Nebraska Street, 2 of the sets. There's a 3rd set along there. I wanted to not make the photos so small, so you get 2 photos instead of 3. These include the adjacent sidewalk where there's a center sign about yielding to pedestrians. We did get some feedback from the school district operations. George Tisby offered, there's been no negative feedback on the speed humps, and their staff mentioned that since the speed humps were installed, there's not been issues with vehicles speeding down the street. So it's good to hear that. Next slide. Here's the view looking westbound. Again, the crosswalks with the pedestrian sign in the foreground. We have gotten a concern from the fire department about the signs in the middle of the crosswalk. When fire engines are responding to an emergency with the speed humps on streets, they like to straddle and go down the middle of the street. And so we've got a little bit of a conflict with these signs. And so we'll talk that through with the fire department, but it's possible that the actual pedestrian signs will come out, and we'll replace those with additional signs on the side of the road. Yeah, next slide. So right after this went in, right as this was going in, we got a request from the neighborhood to the east of the high school about taking some traffic counts and doing some speed studies on nearby streets on Amador, Hans, Bella Vista. We took those counts and speed surveys on April 8th, which is school day, clear weather. Key data shown here, really kind of low volumes overall on the streets. We did have a little bit of an elevated speed on Amador, which runs directly along the east side of the high school. And, you know, with seeing that, we're going to move forward with adding a set of speed humps along Amador just below Hans Avenue. That was on a previous plan that we shared with 2x2. So, you know, we'll look at getting that done. And we have that Safe Routes to School grant from STA, and we have a little bit of money left over in that, so we'll be able to do that implementation with that available money. So it's really all I have for tonight. Happy to take questions and just glad we were able to get this going.
Councilman Matulik.
Thank you, President, and thank you, Mark, for the great work you're doing on this. And like yourself, I did hear some great feedback of the speed bumps and humps and how they are being effective. There was a couple of people that did bring to my attention that if you notice the picture, if there weren't cars parked on the curb there, people were saying that there were cars that were able to speed to go around those speed bumps. So I didn't know if there's anything that could be done, but that was just one of the minor, one of the few negative feedbacks I got, that it still does happen on occasion if there aren't those cars parked right next to there. But I'm not sure if there's anything that can be done. But other than that, I think the feedback that I've received has been really good and effective for these speed humps.
Yeah, appreciate it. On the previous plan, we had kind of bull bouts on either side of the crosswalks. And I'll talk to Tony Chu, traffic engineer. I think some, kind of delineator temporary items, at the crosswalks would at least break up being able to just, go down that parking lane, at least like after hours and those sorts of things. So it's good feedback. Appreciate it.
Where are we at with like permanent closure during the school day?
We have completed the study for that. So we did, probably should have included that in here. So Fair and Pierce studied the closure. So we looked at the traffic impacts as well as under CEQA VMT changes, and really no impact associated with it. We've turned that study over to the planning department and asked them to move forward with basically completing CEQA paperwork and having that filed with the county. And then I think we would bring that back to this group and talk about being able to close that. There's formalized process under the municipal code, MUTCD, state vehicle code around taking action formally on street closures associated, and that has to happen at the council level. So
Okay.
We'll get that CEQA stuff done, and then we'll come back and talk about road closure.
What timelines do you foresee? I'm just thinking because school starts, we're almost out of school, and school will start again around the second week of August. So I'm just, for timelines, for it to be quieter, it'll be quiet in July and again until about the second week of August. So what do you foresee for those reports you said to file, and then for the city council to approve that?
It would be great to kind of do those approvals over the summer. Well, actually, it'd be great to do it kind of as soon as possible. I don't know of any funding identified at this point. I can't remember about actually implementing that. Doing a permanent closure would involve, I think, a capital improvement project around, installing gates and those sorts of things that would facilitate doing the closure. So yeah, we should probably talk further about how to get that funded.
I thought there was grants through Safe Routes or through, I can't remember what was discussed.
Safe Routes to School was used to implement the traffic calming and will be, used there. So that was it was like $30,000. It was pretty small.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if there was other grants or It's been going a while, so I can't remember all the funding.
I don't know of identified funding specifically for it at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the funding would be for 2 swing gates on both opposite ends of Nebraska, or not total ends, but somewhere within
Yeah.
like Amador and
It needs to get-
Nebraska, and
It
then
needs to
somewhere.
get designed, engineered, and implemented. It's not simple. I mean, swing gates, they're out in the public right of way. They can get hit. It has to be done. Be careful about it. And if you want the bicyclist going by on the outside, it needs to be looked at closely by the engineer. So, yeah.
Okay. Sounds like we're getting very close. Thank you.
All right.
Someone? Everyone good? Okay.
All right.
So we'll just wait for those reports and then for the city council approval and then go forward with what the next steps are.
Yep.
Thank you so much for your report.
Appreciate your time. Thanks.
All right, youth coordinator updates. We have our student trustee here, and I don't know what other youth updates maybe the city has. Do we have anything from?
We don't have any other updates.
We don't. I know, Veronica, okay. Victoria's on. Ricardo, sounds like you'll be doing the reporting on this.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So good evening. Good evening. So
Morales is our student
yes,
trustee.
so student trustee for Vallejo High School. So the only thing I have to report pretty much is just so last time I was here, I was going to do 2 surveys. I was just going to do 1 survey for Soul Trans, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do that one. But we had a superintendent student advisory committee meeting with superintendent and a few more students from the middle schools and the high schools we have, and me and a student from Vallejo High School, we had the idea to do a survey regarding school spirit and PBIS, positive behavioral interventional and supports. So when we had the idea, we just did, we had a few questions on the survey, and on that day, we went to all the history classes in the school, and we just, we asked the students if they can please do the survey, and we got about 201 responses from all the students. For the reward, we also gave them 10 PBIS books just for doing it, just for thanking them for appreciation for doing it, being part of the school. And we are hoping at the end of the school year, we are trying to get our new class officers for the school, so senior, junior, sophomore, freshman class officers. And we're hoping when we get them, we can pass on the information so they can have an idea of what's different, what we can do better next year. And that's all I have to report. Thank you. Oh, any questions?
Mr. Morales, I'll start. Can you tell the council what you're going to be doing the next few weeks? Especially June, is it 8? I can't remember.
Oh, yes. So as a senior, graduation's coming up very soon. So
And then what will you be doing?
on May 29th, so on May 29th, we will be going to our grad night. So we will be going to Universal Studios in LA. It's going to be really fun. Today we just had our, I guess you can say a little assembly just like for the students to know the do's and don'ts for when we go. That'll be on May 29th. We'll come back on the next day, May 30th, on Friday in the morning. And on June 6th will be the last day for all seniors at Vallejo High School. And on June 12th at 1:30 p.m. we will be having our graduation ceremony.
And then what will you be doing after you graduate?
After I graduate during the summer, I'll be working, but after that, in the fall, I'll be going to Sacramento State.
I just wanted to. I don't think the city councilor knows what program you've been doing at Vallejo High School to get ready for that. So let me just tell them what you've been gearing up for, or what's prepared you for that.
The most
The
recent
health and the academy.
So recently we just had our ceremony recognition for the health career pathway. We just had that yesterday. It went really well. We got our stoles. We just got our congratulations from our principal and the president and the vice president of our health club at Vallejo High School. We had a reception afterwards. We had, like I said, we had speeches. We had our partnerships. So we had our partnership from Touro University, Dress for Success, and Drug Safe Solano. So they were all there to congratulate all of us, and it just went really well. And one more program that I think that just helped me recently is a program, Club Stride, another partnership, Club Stride. I was in Club Stride. We just had our graduation ceremony here in JFK Library. It went really well. And in that club, we just focused on public health. And another thing we did in that club is just a lot of public speaking, communication skills. We focus on that a lot. And again, I think it just helped me overall in public speaking.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for? Okay, thank you. With that, now we are down to action calendar. I think with that, we're looking, please check your calendars if you have a moment. We're looking at Monday, June 16th at 4:30 for the June meeting. Monday, June 16th at 4:30.
What was the reason for rescheduling? Sorry.
What's that?
What was the reason for rescheduling?
On Tuesdays is our meeting, and on the fourth Thursday, not available for that date.
Okay.
But Narcy
And
says
I'm not available for that one either. I'll
Fair
be
enough.
at a conference.
What's that?
That June 26th, the original date, I think. I'm
Yeah,
also
I can't-
I'm out of town as well.
That's why we looked at the calendar before people came, and it looks like this room, and from what we were looking at, there was no meetings on Monday, June 16th at 4:30.
I can't make it, but I'll be at a Napa Vallejo Waste Management Authority meeting in American Canyon. Those usually are pretty short, so they start at 4. I could potentially be back here by 5 if we wanted to just have it that day if there's no other option. That would be okay with me. I don't want to torpedo the whole thing.
And we were told it needs to be a shorter meeting because there's not a lot of time in this room that day. And then July, we won't have meetings in July, and we won't, I guess, the city doesn't in August, so that would be the last meeting until school starts in August. Mayor, do you think you'd be able to attend or no?
On the 16th, it would just depend. I would be at the board meeting starts at 4 p.m. in American Canyon.
Okay,
So the earliest I would be here would be probably 5.
okay. Why don't we confirm before then with Rhonda? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, with that, action calendar, information calendar, anything else for that?
Just so I'm clear, what's the direction for the special meeting date in June? Are you all polling each other? Or what's happening with June 16th? Are we looking for a new date?
For me, June 16th works. I just have that planning commission doesn't start till 7 that night, but everything else works for my calendar right now.
I'm okay for June 16th.
I am too.
Did you all, Narcissa, from your end, did you already check the chambers?
The chambers is available except for the planning commission meeting, so it will be a shorter meeting to allow time to change.
But the planning commission's at 7.
Correct.
So
we
that's
can.
not that bad.
If out of coursecourtesy to the mayor, if he wanted to hold it off till
We could start at
5.
5. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was thinking. Okay. And
Is
then
that
if
okay?
No, yeah.
if I'm a little late, it's not the end of the world.
They should.
You can just start without me.
Superintendent
Okay.
Aurelio, are you good at that? Okay. That sounds
Okay.
like a great adjustment, thank you.
Since you pulled it on action, do you want to make a motion
Make a motion for our June.
to
meeting
cancel the regular meeting on June 26th and have a special meeting on June 16th at 5?
Monday, yes.
Second.
Roll call.
President Fox?
Aye.
Mayor Soers?
Yes.
Vice President Amboy?
Aye.
Councilmember Matulik?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, now we're down future agenda items. We just talked about Nebraska Street. Sounds like that's already moving. Councilman Matulik?
I thought we were going to informational.
For information calendar?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
sure.
And I just wanted to, since it's been a while since we last met, a few weeks ago, we had a couple of youth activities that happened it was one of the Mondays where we had the Solano County Women's Voter Network that happened. We actually held a pseudo city council meeting over at MIT, and it was, we actually had a quorum of council members there. We had Councilmember Gordon, Councilmember Matias, Councilmember Letterju, and myself that participated in that, and that was a great event. It was coordinated by Dr. Sarah Chapman, who's the actual vice mayor over at Vacaville. So that was a great event. And later that week on Saturday, the mayor and I, and Councilmember Gordon also participated in the future Vallejo leadership group that we actually had here in council chambers. That was once again well attended, and it was a great experience for the kids or not kids, but students to actually learn the parliamentary procedure of how to run a city council meeting. And so that was a great opportunity. I'm looking to expand that even more and that was run by Paul Lamb. And so I just want to hopefully be able to expand that even more to get that and get the youth more involved from that standpoint. Also, about 2 weeks ago, I know the superintendent and I attended the Solano County Teacher of the Year and the Classified Employee of the Year event up in Vacaville. Our representation from Dan Meany Elementary School was very well represented because we actually had our fifth grade teacher, Ms. Charlotte Sanchez, as our VCUSD representative for Teacher of the Year. Unfortunately, she didn't win the actual county award, but I think all the nominees were well deserving of this. So I think it was a great opportunity and great experience. And I also want to give a shout out to Abigail Miller, who is also our VCUSD classified employee that was representing for that event. And I want to thank Superintendent Aurelio, along with the governing board, for 2 weeks ago celebrating Teacher Appreciation Week. And then this week was actually Classified School Employees Association Week. So I want to thank the school board for honoring both the teachers and our support staff for that. And under the Classified School Employees Association Week, we actually, at last night's school board meeting, I want to actually acknowledge Trustee Ricardo Morales for actually winning a check from CSEA for, it was a scholarship check that he received. So that was one of the things that we as CSEA members honored. I think it was 4 students to win that. So I want to congratulate Trustee Morales along with the other award winners for that one. And I think that should be it for my report. So thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Soares?
Oh, sure. So for future items, I was actually going to suggest that we add an item here on member updates, because I think it would be good to just have quick updates on what the city and the district, what our boards have been doing and voting on. For example, we can give updates on the sheriff, our efforts to get the sheriff's contract and the budget and some of the other things that the council is working on right now, unhoused, things like that. And one of the things that came out of my high school visit, which thank you again, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this at the last meeting, but thank you again to VCUSD for setting that up. I want to make that an annual or semi-annual thing, so it was just fantastic. One of the things that came out of that was the need for a youth commission or leadership council or something, and there's kind of pros and cons to both. So I would love maybe for us to have that as a discussion item next month to think about. I was talking with some of the students about the pros and cons of different bodies. Having a leadership council would allow for more genuine interaction. You wouldn't be subject to Brown Act in the sense that we could gather, have real conversations. It would be the less formal, needing to have the formal agendized meetings. But the formal agendized meetings are a great experience for the students. So just kind of figuring out the best way to engage folks in a meaningful way that isn't just that isn't just a title or something for a resume, but something where they can really truly meaningfully engage and give input into the city. And, you know, for me, again, as a public school kid, I want to do that with the district. And run it out of the district. So that was something I was hoping we could agendize. I would also love to entertain the idea of, you know, I'm the newest, I'm the new person here, but I think it'd be great to assign one of the student trustees to sit up here as a non-voting member and comment on the presentations and the issues. So Ricardo doesn't have to, it wouldn't be you, it would be for next year anyway. So you can give input on that, but I would love to maybe put that up here somewhere to just see if we can have the student trustee be able to weigh in on things, or assign a student somehow to sit on this body.
I agree on each one of your points there. Definitely, I think we need an area to share out what's going on, the most important points for both, and the student trustee, the voice of them, I think is so powerful in starting that program. So I think there's an agenda item for next, for our June meeting. Actually, we were talking before to even put that on the agenda to have a share out time. Thank you. Anyone else? Councilman Matulik?
Thank you, President. And the fact that President Fox brought up the question about having permanent a barrier on Nebraska, I think we should have that as once again in June. And for the fact that Mark has actually been leading this for the longest time, and the fact that he's leaving us soon. So I want to make sure there's going to be a transition to whoever can continue this moving forward, so it doesn't accidentally just sit there. So hopefully he's able to pass on to either Tony or to someone else within the transportation department to figure out how to move this forward so that it doesn't get stagnant and delayed. And ideally, so it's potentially in place before the start of the next school year in August. So if we have to help push this along over the summer where this board is going to be inactive, I want to make sure we actually have those conversations, in June to make sure things are in place to hopefully we can meet that August deadline to actually have something in place. So whether bureaucracy is going to move fast enough and we meet all the requirements and from the municipal code and everything, that's a different issue, but at least I want to hopefully have these conversations moving forward. So
Thank you. Trustee Amboy?
Do you think we can have a concrete timeline for Nebraska Street since Mark is leaving?
As Mark pointed out, there's a bureaucratic process behind that has to go through the municipal court and have the engineering team actually go through the whole vetting process. So obviously they need to go through their process. I can't tell you what that particular timeline is, but if we give them our goal of getting this potentially in place by August, at least they can help us identify where some of the issues may be, to where hopefully we may be able to move it forward. So that would be once again a conversation with our public works and the traffic team to see what needs to happen, especially since it sounds like we're done with the CEQA process, but it's the internal issues that making sure we're doing it the right way, basically. And it looks like city manager.
We can have staff come back and provide a timeline within certain parameters. So there's a little bit of uncertainty on some of the environmental process and the city process. It also sounds like, as Mr. Helmbrecht mentioned earlier, that there might not be dedicated funding. So that's something for the city to talk about, and maybe we can talk about it at a future 2x2 committee meeting.
Thank you.
Hopefully he can come with ideas with that aspect as well, so that we'll have clear, and we can, like we said, backwards plan, because school starts the beginning of August. So having at least plans and timelines, I agree, a timeline with what steps will be done and what will still needs to be done. Thank you, everyone. Any other, so we're done for information calendar. I'll mention on that, though, we have lots of graduations coming up. We're finishing state testing. Next Wednesday, we know we have the event. Mayor Source, I think you said you're going to be there. I think Sergeant Hollis, I think you and Chief Toss mentioned you might be there as well for the, Superintendent Aurelio mentioned it.
What was that? Oh. Well, no, just, we do have an event that is geared towards our Spanish-speaking families on the 28th from 5:30 to 7 at Vallejo Charter School in the gymnasium. That's 2833 Tennessee Street. And it's going to be an opportunity for our families to, especially the Spanish-speaking families, to share concerns and solutions with district leadership, for them to gain some insights on the available resources we have for families, and then also to meet with other members of the community in a supportive environment. We're also going to be live streaming that event on YouTube because we know that we have families that are concerned about coming to public gatherings and meetings. So we're going to make it available for them. It is open to all. We will have interpretation from Spanish to English. So families who want to attend who don't speak Spanish, they can listen in with headsets and have interpretation. So we're really excited about this event. There'll be some student performances, dinner, and childcare available. So try to eliminate all the barriers if we can.
Thank you. And hopefully Sergeant Hollis, you and Chief Todd can still attend as well. All right. Anything else, Trustee Amboy, about information calendar from the district that I'm not thinking of?
No, I believe you cover most everything with graduation coming up June 11, June 12, I believe, for the at Corbus Field. So, I mean, obviously that's a very big event for the city of Vallejo with, again, partial closure of Nebraska Street because of the graduation and the flow of traffic. So, yeah, so I think that's our big event that's coming up. So,
All right, thank you. Moving on to Agenda 12. Any other future agenda items other than what was already mentioned? We're good? Okay, we can always add to it. And anything else for go to the order before we adjourn? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here, and we are adjourning at 5:28. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Sure. Thank you.